Okay, so we are having our card reading for the week of February 11th through 17th. You have heard me say it a million times. There is no coincidence. This is just all about creating alignment and validation. So once again, I have pulled a card that makes perfect sense for exactly where we're at. So if you remember, February's blog post is all about balancing the heart chakra, about how you sort of open up so that you can create joy and fulfillment for yourself. And then last week's card was soul love. And so that was about shedding judgment and shame and then embracing who you are exactly as you are, sort of being your authentic self. So I'm talking about that because, funny enough, this week's card, and when I ask for a card for the week, I ask, what do you need to hear for the week of with these dates? And so then using the Angelic Light Work deck by Elena Fairchild, the card that I pulled for this week is called A Treasure of the Soul. Let me see that. Treasure of the Soul, a little heart on the top of it. Um, so this is crazy. Again, no coincidence, because what this is about is relationships. It is about creating a relationship with yourself, with others, and making sure that you have the right relationships at the right times. So uh, one of the things, if you've been in my circle, you might have heard me talk about this at some point. As we mature and grow, relationships change, we change, so then our relationships change, and who we have relationships with changes. Some are easier, some are harder, some take a lot of work. And I think that you also might know that my husband and I are coming up on 28 years of marriage, and we're in a really good place. We are a good fit for one another. We have a really strong relationship, but it's not rainbows and butterflies. It's not always been perfect. It's still not perfect. It never will be. It's not what we do. Um, but we've had to put the work into it, right? Like, we have to make sure that we're growing together. We have to make sure that we want the same things for our lives together. And then we have to make sure that we're willing to support one another. And so it takes effort in order to have that really positive and great relationship. And so the other side of this then becomes, if you are taking care of yourself, I guess that's where I want to go with this. So if you are taking care of yourself, if you are fostering the love and the connection with yourself, because you've got to do this first. So if you do that, then what happens is knowing which relationships to keep and which ones it's time to sort of sunset away from becomes much easier. So not necessarily the relationships become easier. Sometimes they do, but sometimes it's easier to identify which ones we don't want to hold on to anymore. So when you're taking care of yourself and you're paying attention to who you are or who you want to be, you're, just like I said, creating and being aware of the love and the connection for you first. Then the other ones get better. And so they get better by recognizing which ones are just absolute shit. Of people that are not pouring into you, that are not reciprocating, that you are the one doing all of the work for. There's negativity all around. It's time to let go of some of those. So as you take care of yourself, you'll recognize, and it will be easier for you to let go of those relationships. And then the ones that are reciprocated and other people are putting effort into them and it's raising your vibe, you'll know. You'll know which ones they are, and you'll want to foster those even more. And so I just think that that's really important to take care of yourself so that you understand what those relationships look like. Um, and then what I will say, the other thing about this particular card is the treasure of the soul piece. So the treasure comes into play in terms of finding a way to honor and foster connection with a specific relationship. So for example, I don't wear my rings to bed at night. I take them off at night and put them back on in the morning. And so I take my wedding ring and I take it off and put it on a little stand. And I'll talk about that stand here in a second. But I take the rings off, and when I take the rings off and I put them on the ring holder, I just say thank you. I don't have to elaborate. I don't have to talk about all the things that I'm thankful for. I'm just saying thank you for this relationship. I really do honor and appreciate that I've got this. And then the same thing the next morning. Oh, we have a cat joining us for today. This is Edie. Say hi. And then the other side of it is when I pick them up in the morning, I do the same thing. I just say thank you for this relationship and for having just for having the relationship. I have a cat on their face now. And then if you like crystals, maybe, or if you just pick up something out of nature, maybe a rock or a feather or whatever it is, it doesn't even have to be out of nature. But for example, maybe you have a rose quartz crystal, just because we're talking about love, and so that's a good one. You just keep that crystal or the feather or the rock or whatever it is that you've got, just maybe on your desk or by your bedside stand or on a shelf that you see on a regular basis. And you remember that when you see that, you remember that you are open to giving and receiving love, not one or the other, giving and receiving love. Um, so you just, every time you see it, you remember it, you create an awareness and you remember that. And then a third example would be the trinket. So this is what I started talking about with my rings. And so when I take my rings off at night, the ring stand that I happen to put them on just happens to be a little ring stand that my son and his wife made for me. And so not only when I take my rings off and put them on the stand do I say thank you for the relationship and I'm grateful for that. I also then have a positive connection with the kids because they are the ones that made that for me, and I just have that awareness every single time I put my rings on the stand. So the other thing that I started doing was just keeping just a little something for all of the kids, the boys, their girlfriends, so that I can just always know whether I talk to them or see them that day, because we only have one at home and the other two don't live close, and so I don't always see or talk to them. So at least I've got some positive connection and some awareness of what they are and sending something positive towards them and our connection every single day. So that happens twice a day. So that is the gist of it. This is really about just creating a space of gratitude and love, which will empower you to be happier, to find more love, and to feel more grateful on a very regular basis. All of that then just lifts you up in a way that it raises your vibration, it raises your energy. And remember, we've talked about this, your vibe attracts your tribe. And so if you can put positive out into the universe, then that is what you will get back to you. So give some of those things a try. Let me know how you make out. If you have any questions, reach out. You can either find me on social media or you can email me at info@drtanyab.com. And then what I will say is go to my website, www.drtanyab.com. And if you haven't, especially if you haven't already, to sign up for my emails, because one, you'll get a free alignment document that you can work through. It's a pretty cool worksheet. And then two, in a couple of days, I'm going to be launching something really fun and new. So make sure you get signed up so that you get that and we'll get that information. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a great week.